Hello there, this is Wozner. If you're watching this, it means you want to make your own Half-Life 2 single-player mod. At the end of this tutorial, we will have set up a basic mod that will launch. It won't have any levels or anything like that, but it's basic, so we're going to get that out of the way first. So before we begin, I'm going to point out that I do have a written out version of this tutorial on Steam, and I'll put a link to that in the description of this video, along with links to all the other things we'll be needing. To start off, we're going to grab Visual Studio 2013 for the Community Edition. Just click the download button. It'll download, then you launch that. It'll probably already tell me that I already have it installed. Yeah. So when you get to this part, you would install. You're going to need a Microsoft login account. So log in. Yeah, I'm going to cancel setup. So once you have that downloaded and installed, run it once to make sure it works. Then go ahead and download Notepad++. It's just a better version of Notepad that doesn't mess up some of the syntax on some of these files that we'll be messing with later on. 7-zip is a better version of just WinZip. It opens just about everything, compresses better. I just recommend using that over the built-in Microsoft version. You're going to need to get the Multibyte MFC library for Visual Studio 2013. Just click the download there. That'll download. Same for the Speech Sdk 5.1, except you want to make sure you just grab the .exe, Speech Sdk 5.1.exe. You don't need the others. Click Next. Now it'll start to download. Now you do not want to install these right away. You want to make sure that you have Visual Studio 2013 installed and ran it at least once, just to make sure things don't just get screwed up. And last but not least, you're going to need a copy of the source code, which you can get off of Valve's GitHub page for it. Now ideally we would just fork this, and that's just a lot better because you can then grab updates that they push, and it doesn't require you to download all the code all the time whenever something gets updated. But that is outside the bounds of this tutorial, so for now just grab the zip file. It's rather large, so that might take you a while. I already have a copy. And next we will need to grab the on Steam, the Source SDK based 2013 single player. So you want to go to Library, Tools, scroll down to Source SDK base 2013 single player, install that. Once that's installed, right click it, go to Properties, Betas, and make sure you're opted into the upcoming beta, otherwise your mod will not work. And run that once just to make sure it's working. It'll just do a quick video stress test thing. You can do it if you want, or you can just exit out of it. So now that that's all taken care of, and we're going to assume that we have Visual Studio 2013 working, we need to install the Speech SDK. So I like to put it in a folder on the desktop called Speech SDK. Double click the exe, unzip it. It'll unzip everything right here. Run the .msi file. Cancel that. Since I already have installed, just minimize that for now. So once you have that installed, what's this? Yeah, finish. You can then open up your My Computer folder. And we're going to set up our mod coding folder. Now you can put it on your whatever hard drive you want. I'm going to put it on my secondary hard drive here. I'm going to call it my first mod. I'm going to open that up. And then we're going to open up the Source SDK 2013 zip file that we downloaded. We don't need the multiplayer branch. All we need is the single player branch. So we're just going to drag that over there and let it copy in. Alright, that's done. Now we need to go to Singleplayer, Source, Utilities. We're going to need to open up another folder here. And we need to navigate now to wherever it is that we installed the Microsoft Speech SDK 5.1. Right click, copy. Right click, paste, or you can use the shortcuts. And we're going to need to rename it to SAPI 5.1. Now we need to open that up and make sure I'm going to edit the right file here. Alright, it's going to be in the include folder. sphelper.h, edit, open with Microsoft Visual Studio 2013. And I will have the lines and everything in the description along with the text so you can just copy paste it. So the first one is on line 769. Just going to select the text off screen here. Copy paste that in. Next one's on line 1418. Highlight over that, paste in the fixed. Next is 2368. We're going to highlight all of that part all the way to 2374. Paste. Next is line 2560. And last but not least, line 2634. And save. Close. Now we need to go to the source folder, run create all projects.bat. Create game projects.bat. And now would be a good time to tell you that if you're using an older version of Visual Studio, you're going to need to edit this and add in the proper parameters to make it work properly for your version. That's on the Valve Developer Community Wiki. You can look that up. I recommend just using the newest version of Visual Studio since it's free. Moving on, we then just open up games.sln. Right click the solution, properties, open up configuration properties, configuration manager, change the active to release, click close, click OK. And then we're going to go to right click, rebuild solution. And that's going to rebuild the entire solution for us and spit out the .dlls that we need. Everything.sln is used for if you're going to do things like edit VBSP, VRAD, shaders, that kind of thing. So most people will not need to use everything.sln. and I found that it only seems to work properly if you are using the full version of Visual Studio 2013. That's the paid for version. If you're a student, you can get that version for free for like 6 months or 90 days or something. Alright, so that's compiling. While it's doing that, we can go ahead and set up our mod folder. So we're going to go to our Steam apps. Probably going to be in Program Files, x86, Steam apps, Source Mods. New folder. Call it My First Mod. Okay. And then going to go to back up a folder, Common, Source SDK base 2013, Singleplayer. Go in here, select Media, Resource, Scripts, Sound, GameInfo.txt, and copy that. Go back to our Source Mods folder, open up My First Mod, paste that in. Alright, it looks like we finished compiling. All succeeded, none failed, no skips. So then we're going to go back to the source code folder. It's going to be in game client release _ mod _ Half-Life 2 client DLL. Copy that. We need a bin folder here in our mod folder. Then we're just going to paste that in. We're going to go up a folder, up another folder, server, release _ mod _ Half-Life 2. Copy the server.dll, paste that in there. And then we need to update our GameInfo.txt. So open that up. It'll look like that. Hit Control-A to select everything. Delete it. And then I'm going to provide a link to a fixed up version, the GameInfo.txt. You're just going to copy, paste that in. This is right here. We'll get into this in a different tutorial, but this will be the name that shows up in Steam, so we'll call it My First Mod. Title is the one that's going to show up in-game on the main menu. My First Mod. Type, it's a single player. Our Steam app ID is the SDK base 2013 single player. Search paths, kind of self-explanatory. We're mounting all the Half-Life 2 content right there. And of course, we got our bin folder, everything right there. Save that, close it. Next, we're going to need the CFGs. And I'll provide a link to those. We need to create a CFG folder here. And we're just going to highlight all the ones I provided, drag them in. And once again, I'll provide a download link to that in the description and in the other tutorial page. And we can go ahead and close that so it's not in the background anymore. So looking at these, we got undo 360 controller, trusted keys. We really don't need these. I'm not exactly sure what they do, but some extra stuff. Third person settings. Maybe screw around that if you want to make a third person mod. Steering wheel. Maybe you want people to only use a steering wheel controller with your mod. Who knows? Now the big important ones are skill episodic, and skill manifest. This defines like the health of the man hacks, Metro Police, Roller Mine, the damage of the weapons. Basically, CFGs are just files that contain server commands that are run. So specifically skills.cfg will run on startup. And if you do not have a skills.cfg, bad things happen. You can get crashes. I saw recently someone is getting asserts, however you say that word, when they used a crowbar. Mod settings, turn up the bloom. E3, you don't really need those, that's from the old E3 demo. Chapters, this is where we'll define what map to run on when a chapter is run. Your default controls. Yeah, that's basically all those. Okay. Next, we're going to need to make some more folders. We're going to need a maps folder, materials folder, models folder, particles. We got a resource folder, sound folder. That's basically it. We'll go into more in detail on what each of these folders is used for. Like a resource has a bunch of .res files in it, chat files, subtitles, that kind of stuff. Go into that at a different time, different tutorial. Alright, so we're now going to go to Steam. We're going to restart Steam for our mod to pop up. Open that up. Log in here. Oh, look, Evolve's on sale. You can still pre-purchase it. Anyway, let's go offline before we get someone yelling at us. Go to installed. And down here at the bottom, we'll see my first mod. If we run that, whoa, resolution's gonna be a little messed up here. As you can see, we got all our menu here. The menu text is going to be messed up because the default font for the Half-Life 2 menu, for that part of it, the title part, it uses a Half-Life 2 font file that Valve specifically made, and they decided they were not going to make any extra letters other than the ones that make up the words Half-Life 2. So as you can see, we got our F, but the M and the Y are, what is that? Gauss ammo and a squad mate with the health icon above their head. We'll fix that in a later tutorial, but got new game here. Load game. Achievements. Options. Yeah. So there you have it. And that's how you make a very basic Half-Life 2 single player mod. Feel free to look at my other tutorial videos. Take a look at the guide. The guide, at the end of the guide, I have additional resources that have things like, here, let's bring it over here. Got things like how to make chapter previews for your mod, how to change the HUD, custom menu backgrounds, some extra tools for mappers, a lot of links here that go to the Valve developer community. A lot of these code ones have not been updated in a long time. I'll try and cover some of them in other tutorials with fixed up code. If you're looking for places to learn how to map, I recommend Top Hat Waffle. He does a lot of great stuff. He made Facade for CSGO in the most recent update. He's got a ton of tutorials, He's got he has Twitch TV, he does lessons, he does one-on-one. He has downloads for useful things like more textures, his maps, prefabs, tools, texture tools, a bunch of cool stuff. Of course, you got the Valve Developer Community Wiki. Very important, you'll be using this a ton. Make sure you basically bookmark this page right here. It covers everything. I think that does about it. I'll have another tutorial up as soon as I can on other stuff. If you want to make a multiplayer version instead of a single player version, same exact process, except you're going to be using the multiplayer branch rather than the single player branch. And your gameinfo.txt will look different, but not much different. You should be able to figure it out pretty easily. But yeah, that does it. I hope this helped you. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below or on the main page of the tutorial.